presentation by Dr. Helen Meese.
I hope to keep your attention just for a few moments longer and leave you with a simple message for you to consider on your way home and back to work or college next week. My message today is one of engineering in society and how we as engineers need to consider not only how we solve problems and design products, but how we ensure the wider community benefits from our work in a positive way. I have called it Preparing Our Next Generation because I feel that those of us who have been around a long time have much to share with our young members, but wherever you are on your engineering journey, we all continue to learn from our experiences. So since this is the last presentation in the Learned Society session, I begin with my first question to you. What is a learned society? Well, the dictionary states that a learned society is an organisation devoted to the scholarly study of a particular field or discipline. Wikipedia says that a learned society is an organisation that exists to promote an academic discipline or profession. But most importantly, their formation assists in the emergence and development of new disciplines or professions. So in simple terms, it's all about developing our knowledge and understanding of mechanical engineering. So how does a learned society devoted to the academic study of its discipline assure its place in the world? Well, my next question would be, what is the world? What is society? Well, the definition of a society is the aggregate of people living together in a community. And its defining feature is that of culture, which defines our way of life. But isn't that what engineering is? A society of people with a culture which defines the way we work. Now, as with all cultures, we have to have rules, ways of doing things that define our working practices, and these are encapsulated in the institution's bylaws. Now, here are just a few of them, and I hope you can see them on screen, the ones that pertain to our responsibility to society. Now, I won't read through them all because there's quite a lot of information there, but I've boiled them down to a few key words. As mechanical engineers, we must not compromise on safety. We must behave with integrity and objectivity. We must work with dignity and uphold a professional reputation, and we must listen to the concerns and needs of others and promote awareness of our profession. We are, of course, all proud to uphold these bylaws as professional engineers and strive every day to ensure that we apply them to the work we do and the product we create. But often, in our enthusiasm to create and solve problems, we don't always consider the societal impact our decisions have on the world around us. There are many historical examples of how engineering decisions have resulted in a less than positive response from society, and whilst we have learned from those responses, it is very easy to fall back into old ways. So perhaps it is time for a change. I ask you, therefore, to consider that engineering is not just for engineering's sake, but as we strive to develop new technologies and solutions, so we should strive to ensure that the ordinary people benefit positively from these developments. To achieve this, we must step out from behind the scenes. We must engage society in two-way dialogue and talk openly about the work we do. We need to leave our mark behind, knowing we have done all we can to ensure we uphold our bylaws, whilst at the same time consulting and informing society. And as Professor Lau said in his statement to this conference, we must cultivate bright, knowledgeable professional engineers to help develop the society which can serve mankind to have a better living environment and life. Because the solutions to every major issue facing our planet and population will require the involvement of engineers Whether it be climate change, an ageing population or food supply, engineers will tackle these problems. So that's all well and good. But how can the institution of mechanical engineers ensure that we address society's problems? After all, we can't just sit here and wag our finger at you and tell you, go away and do it. We as your institution must live by these same principles. And that is why the theme of engineering in society was created almost 2 years ago now, to provide a focus and to grow our learned society. Because why should the man in the street care what we do? Engineering in society focuses on two major areas, that of engineering innovation and its impact on society. The theme was created because the institution recognised that whilst we take for granted that what we do as engineers in society is in society's best interests, we do not always articulate it in a way that is understandable to the man in the street. We have already addressed several subjects of concern to both our members and society as a whole, looking at things like graphene, composite materials, and soon to be published the report on the public acceptance. Next year's themes will focus on the impact of the space industry and robotic technology. And just next week, I will be co-hosting an expert meeting on transport for an ageing population, where we will focus on the needs of the elderly and what engineers can do to solve some of their issues. Alongside the other themes of transport, energy, environment, manufacturing and education, we will continue to produce internationally recognised learned reports which have societal impact, such as those focusing on global food waste and low carbon vehicles. And in our policy statements, we continue to be recognised by UK government officers as an important source for developing governmental strategic plans. So where do you, our members, both expert and those just starting your career, come into all of this? Well, just to remind you of this amazing fact, the South Asia region makes up 11% of the IMechE's membership. That's a lot of engineering. And as St. Pereira said in his statement to you, engineering tomorrow tells your story, and it is you who will shape our tomorrow. So before I finish, I want to leave you with 3 thoughts which encapsulate the engineering in society message. Firstly, be truthful. Communicate with society. Talk about the good and the bad aspects of your work, and don't be afraid to share it with them. Secondly, share your experiences with each other. Allow the young to learn from the experiences of the old to help foster innovation and creativity. And in the words of our President, don't wait. When you leave here today, tell somebody what you have done. Because the world needs to know that we as engineers are paying attention. Their voice will be heard. I'll leave you with one final quote. It's rather long, so I shall read the last part of it out carefully. No amount of savings and investment, no policy of macroeconomic fine-tuning, no set of tax and spending initiatives can generate sustained economic growth unless it is accompanied by the countless large and small discoveries that are required to create more value from a fixed set of natural resources. So Colombo, make the world a better place, because the world is in your hands. Thank you very much.
Just a second. So I'll leave the floor open for some questions if anybody has for Helen. I have a question, Helen, for you actually.
Okay.
How can we take the engineering in society theme to an international level? It has been very, very UK-centric all this while. So how can we take it to our international membership?
That's a very good question, Siddhartha, I think. I think it comes back to the issue of our society, our community, and our culture. I think there are messages that we can take out to the people around us. And as our President said, we need to talk about what we do as engineers and how we contribute to the world around us. We have to make engineering relevant. The man on the street, the man in Colombo, the man just outside my window here, doesn't really know about engineering and doesn't really care unless it's something to do with them personally. So whether it's biomedical engineering or whether it's civil engineering or whether it's mechanical engineering, we have to explain it in a way that is understandable, that is relevant to them. So I think from an international point of view, I think the message that has to be the message, that it has to be about our culture and our society.
Ken Cushing from Oceania Region Chair has a question. Sorry.
Yeah, Chairman of the Oceania region. I don't know whether you can see me, I can see you. Sounds as though your window cleaner can see as well.
I have a confession to make actually. I'm not actually in London, I'm actually in the living room of my house in Leicestershire.
Yes, I sort of gathered that. You had in your talk and on one of the slides a whole page of all the reports that have been written and issued by IMechE to help society. The wastage of food report is a good example. I wondered how, from your end, you can help us use them better and distribute them more widely. We need to ask ourselves the same question, but there's a lot of work goes into them. They're very valuable, and I don't think we are getting the best out of them at the moment.
Okay, you did break up there slightly in the middle, so I lost a little bit of that. But I think the question you're asking is, what can you do in terms of supporting us with the reports? Is that correct?
And what can you do in supporting us with them?
Right. Okay. I mean, a lot of the focus now is growing much more internationally in terms of the reports, and you brought up the Waste Not Want Not report, which indeed had a real international feel. I think when there are issues and subjects that you feel passionate about and that you think should be brought to our to the theme managers particularly, don't hesitate to contact us and speak with us, because we can't cover everything, so often we miss opportunities, sometimes to pick up on things. So, it's very important that you share, the experiences that might be going on in your home countries, that we can perhaps bring into these reports, and you can help us write those. We do have members who support us in writing these reports. So, whatever you can contribute is really quite important. I think from our point of view, we need to make sure that we are communicating those reports in a broader way. I know that Tim Fox has been out to India, and he's going out again shortly, actually, to promote one of the reports. And we try to make sure that one of the reports is international every year, has an international focus. So it's a two-way street, and I think, we perhaps need to make sure that we engage with you guys, and likewise, share your stories with us, and we will try to incorporate those into the things that we write.
I'm sure we'd be very happy to contribute in that way. One of the problems from our end, or my perception of it, is that reports are issued and we don't know they're coming, we don't know what's in the pipeline, and they're very poorly promoted internationally.
Okay, well that's a fair point, and I will certainly take that back to our international office and to the rest of the team managers, that when we promote the reports, that we need to give you guys more of a heads up so that you know what's coming. So that's a fair point.
That would be very good. Thanks for your help.
Just an additional point on that. Is there a formal channel for this, or is just like shooting off mails to you to get international feedback on the policy reports?
Sorry, Siddhartha, could you repeat that, please?
Is there a formal channel to do this as an international feedback, or have more international involvement while the report is being formed and after the report is formed?
Okay, I think in terms of feedback, once the report is out, I think if you pass that through the international office, or you know, the theme managers have their contact details, you know, available, as you know, at the end of my slide, if it's still up there, my Skype and my Twitter account and so on are there for you all to contact. So we're always there if you want to send us feedback. I think that's probably the best way. Either contact the theme manager who's produced the report, or send a formal email through the international office, and they will get the message to us.
Right, Helen. I think it's a very interesting you presented to us. You're also talking about for Ken, asking how can we support each other to promote this one, and you also suggest us to contact the theme manager to talk about what's available. Now, I rather would like to suggest to have a more proactive approach on this. What the report is that institutes are planning to do in 2015 and 16. And for us as the international region chair, we can have some input to think about in our part of the world what would be the most hot topics in our area, so that if we want to have a voice of influence and we have an international outreach, I think we should be more proactive to address in a different part of the world their need, rather than to have a centralized theme to sending it out. It might have some differentiation. It's all important topics, but there may be certain areas, certain regions that have more hot issues than the others.
Okay, again, you broke up a little bit in the middle there, but I think the gist of the question was if there are particular topics that are very focused on in your particular country or region, you know, how you can sort of involve yourself in the reports and things on those subjects. My particular theme is focusing on emerging technologies, or you know, the latest innovations. So from that point of view, you know, I'm always interested to hear what new things are going on in particular parts of the world, and what might be different to the UK, for example. Obviously, we do have a very UK-centric sort of focus in a lot of particular policy statements, which are generally aimed at the UK government. So it would be good to be able to include some international feel to that. And from my point of view as head of engineering in society, I think that's more probably relevant to me, more than the other, you know, the other areas. But equally, you know, if there are particular areas that that you feel we should be looking at or anything, then you're welcome to communicate those to us at any time. You know, as I say, I'm always looking for new things. I mentioned that next year I'm looking at the space industry and robotics, not necessarily manufacturing robotics, but assistive technologies and that sort of thing. So I'd be interested to hear from our members as to, you know, what technology is being developed in their country, for example. I hope that answers your question.
Yes and no. I think perhaps there's something that we have to be actually proactively to create a platform to solicit the international input into your working program for how we can do things about the field that those reports, which would be can influence the society and contribute to make a important work for engineering.
Did you get that?
Okay. Yeah, just about. I think that's probably a longer discussion than we probably have time for this morning. But if you want to drop me an email about that, and I'll be able to answer you, because I think that needs to probably be discussed with the international office, and sort of have a little discussion around that, because that's quite in terms of developing a platform by which to do things by, I think is quite a large task. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd appreciate an email from you, and I'd certainly be able to answer your question from there.
I think, thank you for the invitation, Helen. I'll take it up and I'll send you an email on that one.
Okay, thank you.
One last question, please.
Oceania region. You just touched on something that troubles us a lot in our part of the world, and that is how UK-centric a lot of the publications are. The solution may be when you do issue one of your society or policy statements that's applicable internationally, that you actually have two versions of it, one for use in the UK and another one internationally. It's a theme that we have plugged away at Council for a few years, but we have made little progress. And we need people to accept that what is often issued is very UK-centric, and we need to do something about it.
Yes, I do appreciate your comment on that, and that, you know, particularly policy statements, because often they are aimed at sort of a government, and so they do tend to have more of a UK feel to them. But certainly in my work, I'm trying to involve much more sort of international feel to the work that I'm doing, because this is a global society. This is not just the UK. So, and I think you'll find that we are working very hard towards creating an internationally themed report now each year. And this is something that the theme managers have been working quite hard on over the last few months or so to make sure that we produce internationally themed documents. I think that the issue of creating sort of two separate documents just becomes a matter of sort of scale, really. But I think we can incorporate an international aspect into you know, a single document and make sure that it does have that feel. So yeah, that's a fair comment, and we'll take that on board.
I think, Helen, we need to stop here because people over here are really hungry. It's lunchtime.
Yes, I'm waiting for my breakfast, actually.
And thanks a lot for getting up so early on a Saturday morning for us.
That's okay. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm glad you've had a wonderful conference, and hope to see some of you in the UK sometime soon. Please get in touch, you know, if you have any comments or anything like that.
Sure, thank you. Have a nice weekend.